Hey guys, I am DC, your host of Barside Jive, and we are on the air once again. And this is what we're going to call our unplugged version, guys, because we had a total media meltdown and we have no media to show. However, we're going to supplement with that with our just plain old talking.
And wit.
That's right. Charm
Wit
and
and
wit.
charm.
That's right. We're going to supplement. So we are glad you're here. We're actually really excited that you're here and that you were able to find us.
I'm excited we're here.
Yeah.
Who cares about anybody else? I'm just glad we're here.
And we hope that you told a friend or two and brought them along for our 4:27 p.m. show we do every Monday here, right here at the Vocal Studios. We are coming at you live from atop the studio here in North Dallas. And I want you to remember that this show happens about 4:15, 4:27 or so Central Standard Time every Monday, and we go till around 6, unless we get started a little bit late, and then we go to like 6:10 or 6:15, sometimes 6:30. So it just gets, this show is always fluid. It's we roll with it.
That's what you got to do.
And so we are here though.
It's like a cinnamon roll. You just keep unrolling. It's just goodness and goodness.
I love cinnamon rolls.
I know. The deeper you go, the better it gets.
I love cinnamon rolls. And you know, I haven't had a cinnamon roll in a long time, but it makes me think about Shipley Donuts.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you know, I've got to get them as a sponsor.
we do. I actually had a cinnamon roll from a donut place there.
And Boyd,
Yeah.
was it any good?
It was all right.
I figured out.
But it was
Boyd.
hot.
But
So
have
that's
you
what,
ever had a bacon wrapped cinnamon roll?
No, that'd be good.
No, bacon's
Delicious.
good on anything.
Yeah.
So it
Agreed.
would have to be.
Bacon would be good on a cigar.
Yeah. You know what? That's an idea. Bacon wrapped cigars.
Wouldn't that be
Oh
great?
my, I may
Next
be.
business opportunity.
Oh, my.
I know.
Let's get some bacon. Just cook it up and then stuff it in the end of the cigar and then
There
smoke
you
it.
go. That would be awesome.
You're welcome.
Guys, besides news, weather, art, fashion, and occasional farm report, sports, music, entertainment, and traffic, today my featured guest is legendary music producer and recording engineer Terry Manning. And if you watched the show last week, guys, you know Terry was on my show. And once I found out that he went to school with Stevie Nicks, and she actually stabbed him in the leg with a pencil. Yeah, I had to have him back on, right? Because it's like, we're not waiting. We're going to go again quick. And so he is back on tonight. And let me tell you, Terry, his career like spans more than 50 years. And he has worked with Led Zeppelin, Iron Maiden, Bryan Adams, ZZ Top. Oh my gosh, everybody. Booker T and the MGs, Shakira, Isaac Hayes, Otis Redding. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on and on. Johnny Taylor, the Staple Singers, Molly Hatchet, George Thorogood, Al Green, Shania Twain, Joe Cocker, Joe Walsh, Lenny Kravitz, Johnny Winter. I mean, guys,
You are going on.
he
and on.
Kind of a
has.
big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big deal. Okay, so stick around. You do not want to miss this second chance to visit with Terry Manning. Hey, be sure to check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Barside Jive Live, and you can subscribe for free. All my content is there. And to help you guys out, I created 2 playlists for this show. One has clips, has the news clip and the weather clip and the traffic and the art and the fashion clips, and they're all in a playlist called Barside Jive on the Air Primetime Drive Show Clips playlist. I'm not kidding.
Say that 5 times fast.
That's original.
Barside Jive on the Air Primetime Drive Show Clips playlist.
Clips.
And if you want to watch the full shows, just go to the playlist that says Barside Jive on the Air Primetime Drive Full Shows playlist.
That's original.
There you go.
Man, you must have worked
I'm good.
Well,
I'm a
all night for
creator.
that. You are.
If you happen to be listening to me as a podcast, you can view the show right now by going to vocalnow.com. And never forget, vocal is intentionally misspelled with a
K.
There you go. Way to go, Beth. Barside Jive is also sponsored by the legendary Zoo, the world's best rock.
The zoo.
Do that one more time.
Roar.
A little louder.
I can't go any louder.
Okay. The world's best rock can be streamed 24/7, 365, once again at vocalnow.com. How about a word from our sponsor?
The zoo.
Play video number one.
Wait a minute. Did Biden just come in here?
It should it should be
Reading the directions.
it should be Shipley. Yeah, really. Guys, did you know that on this day, after the Beatles, Led Zeppelin are the best-selling band of all time? Having formed in 1968 as the New Yardbirds because Jimmy Page's old group had broken up after the gig had been booked, so they wouldn't be billed as Led Zeppelin for another 6 weeks. Well, those iconic rockers went on to dominate the 1970s music scene. In fact, it was 52 years ago on this day when Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, and John Bonham gave their first live performance together at a teen club in Gladsaxe, Denmark.
Gladsaxe?
Gladsaxe.
Glad sacks.
Two of rock's funniest characters died on September 7th. Number one being Keith Moon, the maniacal drummer for The Who. Passed away in 1978 after taking an overdose of pills designed to curb his desire for alcohol. 15 years later, in 2003, Warren Zevon, whose salacious wit made him the definitive songwriter, lost his battle with lung cancer. In 1984, Queensryche released The Warning, their first full-length album. 3 years later, Pink Floyd emerged from litigation with David Gilmour in charge and put out a momentary lapse of reason. The record restored Pink Floyd to prominence and was followed by a massive world tour.
And it was a great world tour.
Let's celebrate some birthdays.
Let's do.
Today, Chrissy Hind of the Pretenders. She was born in 1951. Wow. And Buddy Holly, the rock and roll pioneer, was born in 1936, but died in a plane crash on February 3rd, 1959. Oh, me. It's time for some traffic. That's my traffic copter, so I don't have the sound effect. All right, guys, from the Barside Jive Global Traffic Center and your Barside Jive Drive team, it's a mess out there.
Oh, I know. It's horrible on this day.
It is.
Labor Day.
In Kathmandu, the capital city of Nepal, it's almost 3 a.m. and not much to report. During rush hour traffic, though, shock and awe is a good description. Yep. There simply aren't many drivable roads in Kathmandu because the roads are so freaking narrow and filled with cars and many more motocycles.
Many more motorbikes.
Bicycles, vendors, pedestrians, and dogs. Yes, we can't forget our little four-legged creatures, the dogs. But because of the lack of speed, due to constant traffic jams, traffic deaths, and cars are relatively low, while crashes involving everything else are very common. Beware that in Kathmandu there are no rules, no stop signs, and no traffic lights in a city of 1 million people.
Wow.
Despite the traffic congestion, Bob Seger says, that's why I'm going to Kathmandu, up to the mountains where I'm going to, and if I ever get out of here, that's what I'm going to do. Well,
that was a great song.
Yeah, I hate to disappoint, but
you will.
Yeah, but there's no evidence that Bob Seger's ever been to Kathmandu, a city set in a valley surrounded by the Himalayan mountains. Fun fact.
They got great salt.
Yep. Salt.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I have it.
Fun fact.
Feeling.
Kathmandu is actually misspelled on Seger's Nutbush City Limits album. The correct spelling actually has an H in it. Helicopter sound. Let's take a look at Detroit, Michigan, guys. Car crashes and rush hour traffic are commonplace. But they're really not your worries in this city on the decline, because the birthplace of American cars has been transformed literally into a Beirut-esque town where buildings with no windows are commonplace. The cars lay in parts strewn across empty lots, and people walk around like zombies. They're literally out of their freaking minds.
Yeah, they live there.
Pushing shopping carts full of rags. That's what they're doing. Don't think you're safe on Motor City's public transportation either. Your chances of becoming another crime statistic is very high. Stay away from travel in the 6th least safe city in the U.S. if at all possible. Helicopter sound.
Flop, 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 flop.
Okay, we're running over to Intercourse, Pennsylvania.
I love Intercourse.
We're just flying over to Intercourse, Pennsylvania. Let's check in with Kaufman's Fruit Farm Market, 3097 Philadelphia Pike Route 340 between Bird in Hand.
Oh my goodness!
Between Bird in Hand and Intercourse.
What kind of fruit do they sell there in Intercourse? I wonder.
Right?
I know. I like this town. Never. Well, I don't want to say never been to Intercourse, but actually never been to the town Intercourse. But it's always fun to give them a call, and they're one of the most boringest, sleepiest towns.
Good day. Thank you for calling Kaufman's Fruit Farm and Market. Please note our business hours have been adjusted. Our wholesale sales team is happy to assist customers from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Our market is open from 8:30 to 5:30 Monday to Saturday. If you'd like to be transferred to our wholesale sales team, please press 1. For our market, press 2. For website sales and Amazon sales, press 3.
Did he say Avon sales?
Yes.
Please leave your message after the tone. When done, hang up or press the pound key.
When done.
Yes. Do you guys have mangoes? Because that's your favorite, right? Mangoes? Yeah.
How'd you know?
You can give me a call back. Thanks.
Mine's the Mai Tai.
Okay. Well, that was fun.
A mixture.
Yeah. They say things weird up there in Intercourse.
Hey,
What?
I hate to interrupt. It's time for helicopter
Oh.
sounds. Okay, Japan's capital, Tokyo, is regarded as the busiest and the largest city in Japan, yet the traffic is very low. The reason for this is very simple. A majority of the Japanese don't drive,
Makes it
at least
simple.
vehicles. The primary choice of the Japanese is still to take the train or subway. The traffic volume on urban and suburban trains is so much to a degree that they are unable to move. In railway stations, pushers push people onto the mass transportation vehicle at a crowded stop.
Say
Let's
what?
check our train camera in Tokyo for a closer look.
That's how the sausage is made.
There's our photo.
Man, look at that. What are we looking
Yeah,
at?
we're looking at pushers.
Okay,
Pushing the
pushers.
people into the train.
That sounds like how sausage is made. That's
The-
just ugh.
The moral to this story is when in Tokyo, take a car.
Take a car.
Well, guys, that's global traffic from your Barside Jive Drive team. And now a word from our sponsor.
The zoo.
Avion Tequila.
Maybe our non-sponsor.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, Bree's still out on leave, so I have singer-songwriter Beth Diltz from Allen, Texas, sitting in today. Besides singing, songwriting, and playing the guitar, Beth likes pasta, mangoes, would love to own a 1970 Trans Am, prefers short and stocky over tall and skinny, and her favorite sport is MMA UFC, and she hopes one day to train as a MMA UFC fighter. Welcome, Beth, to
Oh my
Barside Jive.
Yeah.
How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we got to play our intro. Okay, it's over.
Perfect. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Sure.
Let's talk about what's going on.
Oh, I can't wait on that. I love the news.
The
It's
news
my
is
Me
favorite
too.
part.
Shaver Lake, California.
Shaver Lake.
Not to be confused with
Shave her
Shave
legs.
her legs. Shave her legs before the lake.
I've been to
That's
Shaver.
next.
I've been to Shaver Lakes, California. Shaver Legs, California.
You're
not
from
Shaver-
Have you?
California.
I am, but
You
yeah,
would know where that is.
yeah.
Is it up north?
Well, I almost went way south. No, it's more south than
Oh, it's more south.
to
Okay.
Shaver Lakes. You got to go south.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Due south.
Yeah.
No, but in Shaver Lake, California, rescuers and military helicopters airlifted 207 people to safety after an explosive wildfire trapped them in a popular camping spot. Talk about a
Wow.
awful vacation.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. Did they have their marshmallows ready?
It was too late for that.
Yeah.
The marshmallows
We're gone.
spontaneously combusted.
Yeah,
He
I
had the
believe
Stay
that.
Puft Marshmallow Man coming after him.
But with breaking temperatures, it strained the state's electrical grid and for
Oh.
a time threatened power outages for millions,
Yeah.
which has been an ongoing process
Yeah.
or occurrence. And we heard that it was started from a gender reveal party, fireworks.
You want to know what I thought when they first said that?
I don't know, but I'm coming out on this show.
I thought it was someone's revealing their gender like an adult. They finally decided they're going to be male or female or whatever they're going to be. And I thought that's what a gender reveal party was.
Gender rebirth.
Oh, that's the rebirth. Okay.
Rebirth.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes
I'm coming. I'm coming out. Y'all ready?
I'm coming.
Ready.
I'm coming.
I'm coming out right now. You ready? You want to give me a countdown or anything?
3, 2, 1, go.
I'm really a dude.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just
prove
We
it.
were all
I just-
wondering.
Prove it.
We were all.
Oh, there we go.
I just revealed my gender.
DC's
Thank
not
you.
wearing pants.
Don't
right.
start any fires.
With that bush, you might.
No fireworks.
I'm sorry.
No bush intended.
It's tequila. It's giving me the giggles now.
Okay.
Portland, Oregon.
Portland,
Portland.
Oregon.
Talk about
There's a lot
Portland.
going on in Portland.
There is.
100 days of protests and
Wow.
riots with no end in sight.
And no one's trying to stop it.
No.
Not a single person.
And it's sad that I've been on business trips up there, and that was a pretty town, if you want to call a city or town. I really enjoyed it up
Eclectic.
there. Yeah, it was in the early to mid '90s when I'd spent some time up there, and it was really nice. But now probably not so much.
Well, there's a lot going on there
Yeah.
now. Yeah. Police said protesters trying to march to a police precinct threw Molotov cocktails at officers and started a fire. What an interesting time to be alive.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But protests did begin in late May after the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Police custody, igniting racial justice protests across the U.S. But since then, Portland has become one of the main stages for demonstrations against police and racial injustice. Meanwhile, the city's mayor tangled with President Trump over sending federal agents to try and restore the order. So lots going on there. Business owners, citizens, I imagine there's a lot of unrest.
Yeah, it's a damn shame.
Yeah.
That needs to be stopped.
Stupidity running rampant.
Yeah.
You got the attention. You have my attention. Yes.
Right.
But in France,
France?
I speak a little French, and I should know how to pronounce this.
Really?
But I'm going to not say the city. Somewhere in France, a man was injured last Friday after he blew up part of his home.
What was he doing?
Quite a way to start your Friday. But trying to kill a fly with an electronic swatter,
Wow.
Oh,
according
okay.
to reports.
Yeah, what else was
Wow.
he
I
trying
need one
to
of
do?
those.
But he's also in his 80s. So
Yeah, he probably knocked over something, then like one of those
there's some crazy
drinks or whatever.
swatter things out
Yeah.
there now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
tasers
Yeah.
for
Bug killing
Bugs.
rackets.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
but he was planning to eat dinner when he spotted the insect.
Not on my food.
Hopefully not in the food.
Yeah.
But picked up his trusty bug killing racket and started swatting at it.
Wow.
I know where that a gas canister was leaking from the house. So
Okay.
bad luck.
The fumes. Whoosh.
Bad luck. San Francisco, California, back to California. Protesters gathered outside the San Francisco home of our lovely House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, on Thursday, following her controversial visit to a salon where she was ambushed.
Yeah, she was set up. Yeah.
Totally set up. But had a video of her getting her haircut inside Salon SF. Sounds pretty fancy. But some of the protesters described as angry salon customers wore curlers in their hair, swinging blow dryers and hair curlers in a tree.
Blow dry.
Wow.
Oh my god.
They were
Angry.
customers or hairstylists?
I'm not quite sure.
Man, that's that'd
Customers.
been funny to
Customers.
see though. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Curlers going all over the place.
Yeah.
Blow dryers hanging from the trees.
It's a lot of estrogen
Yeah, a lot.
collecting in
I'm
one
glad you
space.
said that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can recognize that.
Yeah.
A lot of estrogen going on there. But apparently everybody was offended, as I think we all might be. But what she has done is a slap in the face of not just a salon owner, but every woman and man, every person who's employed in the state of California. That is her home state.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And every woman and man that has hair.
Okay, well, let me just say this.
Let's bring a voice of reason.
Let me just say this. Yeah, it's a little hypocritical. Okay?
Agreed.
But hey, occasionally I don't wear my freaking seatbelt. Okay? I hate seatbelts.
Oh, yeah.
And sorry, Mark White. But I hate seatbelts, and every once in a while I don't wear it. So, we all do. I tell my kids wear their seatbelt, but yet every once in a while I don't. But
I don't wear underwear sometimes.
So
every once in a while I don't.
Underwear,
you tell
mask,
your kids to wear their
seatbelt.
underwear?
Yeah, it's like,
You tell your kids to wear it?
yeah.
Okay, well, you're a hypocrite.
But there's sometimes, you just don't.
You were set
Yeah.
up. You were set up.
But no, but seriously.
I was set up. That's right.
When I
You were ambushed.
When I think about all these people in Congress that, like her, that are like grandma and grandpas now,
Great grandma and grandpas.
Yeah, it's like they've been in Congress all their lives. They need to go, so we need term limits.
Yes, term limits.
Term
I like
limits.
it.
That's what we need. Term
like
limits.
it.
I mean, they come into Congress making $100,000 a year, and they leave making millions. I mean, what's up
Worth
with that?
millions,
I mean,
yeah.
So that's kind of my take on it.
And they're not that smart.
Well, the original intention was to serve,
Yeah.
not to
Right.
be employed,
Well,
right?
yeah,
Right.
what ruined it was air conditioning. Once they put air conditioning up there in the Capitol,
Oh, that's what we should do is yank out those window units.
yeah, just take them out, and man, they'd be going home. It's like, forget
Hey,
this.
speaking of news,
Speaking
I
of
I
news.
just thought about this.
Yeah, okay.
The state fair is back.
Yes, yeah,
Well,
Mm.
You can drive through.
drive through.
You can drive through
a
for
half-ass
Fletcher's.
version.
Yeah,
It would have been cool though if we would have been able to drive through Big Texas Legs.
That
right
would have
between
been
the
cool.
legs.
You're on to something.
I know.
You're
That
on
would've
to
been
It's
something.
cool.
like, yeah. Can you imagine it would have just been fun. All the fun we could have had with that.
yeah, it would have been cool.
I wish they would have called.
But you can do it. I mean, they're touting it as a first in 134 year history. The state fair is going to do this, but really, in reality, the history making thing is the fact that since World War II, that sucker's never been closed till now.
Yeah.
And it's closed.
Heartbroken. The fair is the best time of year.
I know. I love it.
I like the funnel cake. And
Well,
the corny
Fletcher's corny dogs, they're like
dogs. Yeah.
still
Oh.
doing their thing.
Yeah.
They'll be at Tup's
Yeah.
Brewery, or maybe they already were.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
really?
They have a food truck.
Wow, I didn't know.
I wonder if
that.
it looks like
That's
the
who we
Oscar
need to get to
Mayer wiener.
sponsor.
I hope not.
Wouldn't that be cool if it looked like the
I hope
but a
not.
corn
No,
dog?
that's goofy as hell.
It is goofy, but a corn dog vehicle. That'd be cool.
Fletcher's is a monument.
It
Well,
is.
guys, if you want to go to bigtex.com, you can find out all about the event. Friday, September 25th through Sunday, September 27th. Friday, October 2nd through Sunday, October 4th. Friday, October 9th through Monday, October 12th.
So it's just on the weekends.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And on and on and on. But, yeah. Hey, last news article.
Last
Sorry.
news. Hot off the presses.
Hot
A
off the press.
fisherman lost at sea for 14 days off the coast of Florida has been rescued by the United States Coast Guard this week. Alvin McAllister, 72, noticing a theme here, 80, 72, found on a small rocky islet 200 miles off the nearest coastline. Shipwrecked, managed to survive off of seagulls, mussels, and urchins.
Yeah, what a diet.
But he was found suffering from intense hallucinations. Okay, let's talk about that. So, seagulls, mussels, and urchins apparently provide hallucinations.
Hallucination. Yeah.
Who needs mushrooms, right?
I'll have a pound of urchins, please.
Yes.
You'll
Pass
see me-
that urchin.
You'll see me next week.
On another planet.
Gonna go in the studio and create.
Well, he apparently hallucinating still survived by the help of mermaids who fed
What?
him, but also
help of
alleged
what?
mermaids.
Mermaids. Okay.
Mermaids.
Gotcha.
But they had other services in mind apparently.
Oh.
Also allegedly took advantage of him sexually.
The mermaids.
The mermaid.
Yes, in graphic detail.
Oh, wow.
He was forced to perform oral sex on fish-like genitals of these aquatic creatures. I'm not sure how that was forced, but I'm going to not go there.
Why didn't he just eat it? You know, I mean, it's food. Maybe it was an urchin.
Well,
just
I
ate
thought
an
he was
urchin.
eating it.
He just ate an urchin.
And a mussel. It had to taste better than those.
He had 2 mussels and an urchin.
Ay. Wow. So poor Alvin McAllister, believed to have ingurgitated some form of toxin such as lead or mercury. Well, that in fish, yes.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Must have ate a lot of it.
Oh, he has some abnormal injuries and inflammation to the
Oh,
genital and anal area. Highly unlikely that he was sexually exploited or sodomized by these living creatures, living sea creatures, but possibly self-inflicted.
you're doing a great job.
Yeah, where do you find this stuff?
Oh, you know.
Threw her in the deep end.
That is kind of a swimming
And now
story.
a word from our non-sponsor.
Yeah. Oh, whoa. Before we go to our featured guest, I got some Aussie news.
Aussie news.
Aussie news.
Okay.
Ozzy Osbourne recalled how peaceful he felt when he tried to kill his wife Sharon back in 1989. Speaking in the new documentary, The 9 Lives of Ozzy Osbourne, which airs on A&E at 9 p.m. ET today,
Oh, okay.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. The couple shared their memories of the potentially fatal incident which took place while the Black Sabbath icon was on drugs. Sharon told how she'd put their kids to bed before sitting down to read. He came into the room, she explained. I had no idea who was sat across from me on the sofa, but it was not my husband. He goes to this stage where he gets that look in his eye and then he shudders.
Winks and say,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah. And she said that she just couldn't get through to him. And he just said, "We've come to a decision that you gotta die." She remembered he was calm, very calm. Then suddenly he lunged across at me and just dived on me and started to choke me. He got me down on the ground on top of me and I was feeling for stuff on the table. I felt the panic button and I just pressed it and there they came. The cops were there. Nothing that the moment was not exactly one of my greatest achievements, Ozzy said.
I don't think he achieved anything.
I felt
Too many
the-
urchins.
Yeah.
I felt the calmest I had ever felt in my life. I was just peaceful. All I remember is waking up in jail and I asked the cop,
Did I
"Why
get
am I here?"
Wait a minute, this isn't my
And the
beautiful-
cop said, "Do you really want me to tell you?" And Ozzy said, "Sure." So he said, "John Michael Osbourne, you've been arrested for attempted murder." Ozzy was sentenced to 6 months in medical detention, and Sharon took the time to consider her future, deciding not to divorce him. I told him, "I don't want the money, but if you do this again, either I am going to kill you or you are going to kill me. And do you really want that for the kids?"
Oh, think about the
Ozzy.
kids, Ozzy, it's the kids.
Melodramatic.
Yeah. You know what?
Wow.
We got a few minutes. It's time for your Fashion Art Farm report.
Well, there's no farm report.
Oh, well, fashion art.
Well, where do you want to go?
Start with fashion.
Start with fashion.
Yeah.
What do you have anything that you're looking at?
No.
I just want to note that he's wearing camo shorts.
Oh, yes.
We
he's
just
wearing
talked about
yeah.
camo.
He's wearing
I am.
camo. Okay,
I
here's
am.
here's a few pictures that you could look at there.
Oh, my.
If anybody
Oh.
wanted to know, since there's no college football, that I guess there's some college, not enough college, anyways. But you could find your college football players maybe on a runway. And my chair just sat.
I saw that.
Wow, that was weird. Just my
I
chair
thought you
just went, "Whoop."
flicked the button and
No.
it descended you.
Yeah, it
That was
descended
impressive.
me.
Descended.
Okay, yeah, descended. But so you can maybe find your favorite college players on the runway sporting one of these outfits,
Including football pads.
including football
I
pads.
see that.
And they look really mad.
Argyle socks.
Yeah, and yeah, it's what everybody's wearing, the Argyle socks. And this colors here are the green and the pink, or the The green and the salmon. It's always a great color combination.
Nice.
Yeah, and so that's where you might
Where
find.
the hell get to those shoulders? Is that a dude?
That's
They're
a
wearing
dude.
football pads. That's a
Those
rugby hat.
Those are
helmet.
dudes.
Oh,
Those
is
are
it?
Dudes.
That's rugby,
Yeah, those
yeah.
are dudes, and
A dude in a green dress?
yeah, and then if this one comes up,
It's not a long, cool woman in a black dress.
no, it's not a long cool woman. But if this photo shows up on the segment, there is the mullet suit.
Oh.
Which, the mullet suit is a very popular suit. It's business in the front and party in the rear.
Yeah.
Because there's no back to the suit. It's just the
Yeah.
suit front.
Like chaps.
Like chaps, but you got the
Yeah.
vest, the jacket, the pants,
Yeah.
but it's all opened in the rear. So it's
Cool.
open for us. So that's why I call it the mullet suit.
Well,
Business in the front,
Hey.
party in the rear.
you got to go to the bathroom. It's pretty quick.
It makes it real easy if
Yeah.
you're at the festival and you got to go. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Cool.
Yeah, so that's
Mullet suit. There you
that's
go,
what
guys.
We have. That's what we have.
That was an exclusive.
Yeah. So
Watch out.
watch out, and I would recommend not wearing that suit in the wintertime.
Oh, might get a little chafed.
Yeah, it might get a little chafed. You might get a little, butt cheeks get a little chapped or whatever. So, but yeah, it's a good suit. This one here is pinstriped.
Wow.
And yeah,
This is impressive.
I know. Let's see. I mean, I don't even. What else do we have? I think that's it. That's all we got. DC.
Is that it?
Unless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's
I think we're out of time.
If that's it, it's it's time for
Time for what?
your Barside Jive Global Forecast Center.
Okay, let's go for some sports.
Well, there's not a lot of
Not
surprises
sports,
out
but
there.
weather. Yeah.
It's mostly cloudy in Spivey's Corner, No, that's North Carolina. It's 86 degrees and precipitation is at 58%. Humidity is 83% and the wind is at 1 mile per hour. If you're into hollering, you may want to put this one on your calendar. The National Hollering Contest is held in Spivey's Corner on the third Sunday of June each year in this otherwise sleepy town located in Sampson County in southeastern North Carolina, population 49. By the
Hey,
way,
couldn't get 50 the good day.
nope.
Working on it.
By the way, they're praying no one else
49.
dies. By the way, Spivey's Corner welcomes 5,000 to 10,000 people to witness the best holler
The best holler.
in hot coffee. Mississippi.
Ooh, I like
It's
hot
mostly cloudy and 79 degrees. Precipitation is 14%, humidity 76, and wind at 8 miles per hour. So it's more like a frappe than hot coffee.
Okay.
Okay. In Falk, Arkansas, it's sunny, 84 degrees, and the precipitation is a meager 0%. Humidity is 60%, and the wind is at 5 miles per hour. If you're down along the Sulphur River Creek beds, legend has it that there lives a strange beast. Folks have reported sightings the Falk monster or Boggy Creek monsters for more than 100 years in this southwestern Arkansas town. Like a southern version of Bigfoot or Sasquatch, the monster has been described as 7 feet tall, walking upright like a large man, and covered with hair. Some have reported that it has a smelly animal odor. The beast is reported to have killed chicken, cattle, dogs, and livestock in the Ozark backcountry, but has yet to harm a human being. It was first sighted in the 1840s, and there have been sightings and encounters by hunters, citizens, and even a police officer throughout the years. The last reported sighting was 1998 along a dry creek bed about 5 miles south of town. If you visit Falk and don't see the monster, you can always stop by the Monster Mart convenience store on Highway 71 in town and see a display of the historic Boggy Creek monster items and maybe get your own Falk monster t-shirt. There you go, guys. Tune into our show next week and we'll actually call the Monster Mart. See what's happening in downtown Falk. And I think that's about it. Oh, I got another one for you.
Yeah.
Eggs and Bacon, Tasmania, an island state of Australia, is partly cloudy and 41 degrees. Precipitation is 84%. Humidity is at 84% as well, and the wind is 12 miles per hour. That's where the Tasmanian devil comes from.
I always liked that character.
Remember that from your Looney Tunes?
The Looney Tunes cartoon. Yeah.
It's kind of like watching this show, Looney Tunes.
Yeah, you watch it long enough, you get loony.
You do.
Won't get any
and we're
tunes,
going to get
but you'll
loony.
get loony.
And that's your global weather from your Barside Jive meteorologist. Kinda. There we go at Barside Jive on the air.
You went to meteorology school, right?
I did. Yeah. I took physical science.
There you go.
That was all I needed.
You know the difference between a cumulus cloud and a stratus, whatever.
You hesitated.
A cumulonimbus and a cirrus.
And a cirrus, yeah, cirrus.
Yeah.
Stratus. I don't know where I got stratus. Stratosphere.
Stratosphere.
There you go.
You're in the ballpark.
I was.
Well, that'll bring us up to our featured guest segment. We will be right back with Terry Manning after this quick break. And we are back. Our featured guest segment is sponsored by Hip and Hippie. Hip and Hippie is a planet-loving company known for its high-quality, earth-friendly, 100% recyclable candle line and natural body care products. It's no wonder eco-supporting people love Hip and Hippie. hipandhippie.com. Before I bring him in, let me tell you a little bit about my guest, unless you missed last week. Terry Manning is a music producer, songwriter, photographer, recording engineer, and artist, known for work in rock, rhythm, and blues, as well as pop music genres. He began in the music industry in El Paso, Texas, where he played guitar and sang with several local bands, notably the Wild Ones, and on a couple of occasions, he actually sat in with his friend Bobby Fuller. Upon leaving El Paso, he moved to Memphis, Tennessee, where he worked for years at both Stax Records and Ardent Studios as an engineer and producer, recording and mixing such artists as Ike Hayes, Ike and Tina Turner, Booker T and the MGs, Al Green, Otis Redding, Leon Russell, Ronnie Millsap, and on and on and on. Manning was a principal part of Stax owner Al Bell's production team for the Staple Singers, responsible for such hit records as Respect Yourself, I'll Take You There, and Heavy Makes You Happy. In 1970, Manning licensed release of his own solo album. Remember, he is a singer-songwriter as well. Home Sweet Home on Stax's Enterprise label. Later working as an independent, Manning produced or engineered recordings by the legendary Joe Cocker, James Taylor, Leon Russell, Led Zeppelin, ZZ Top, George Thorogood, Joe Walsh, Johnny Winter, the Fabulous Thunderbirds, Shakira, Shania Twain, Bryan Adams, and on and on and on. In the mid-1980s, Manning moved to London and worked for a year out of the Abbey Road Studios. How cool is that? As a photographer, Manning began with black and white in the mid-60s, capturing street scenes and topics of interest. Musically, he's photographed Chuck Berry, Terry Reid, Steppenwolf, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Dusty Springfield, Procol Harum, and many other musical artists of the rock period as both an independent and as a writer-photographer for New Musical Express. Manning was one of the last to photograph his acquaintance, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., on the day before his tragic assassination. In 1991, saw him founding Lucas Engineering, a boutique audio company which makes professional audio recording gear. This company expanded in 2008, adding microphones to their arsenal of products. Lucas microphones, under Manning's guidance, have since become amongst the top high-end recording devices in the audio world. In 92, Chris Blackwell of Island Records fame sought out Manning as a partner to revitalize Blackwell's famous Compass Point studios in Nassau, Bahamas, which Manning operated successfully for over 20 years. Manning's newest music as an artist are the ECR Music Group, Lucky 7 record releases of Manning's newest live album, Playing in Elvis House, 2015's Heaven Knows, an emotional look into human emotion, and West Texas Skyline, a tribute to Bobby Fuller, released in October of 2013. So, let's welcome Terry Manning to Barside Jive on the air. How's it going, Terry?
Well, I'm tired just listening to that.
Hey, man, it's great stuff. Got to share it.
Oh, well, thank you. I'd missed seeing you all week. We had a great time last week, and all week I was just almost in tears. Where's DC? Where's Barside Jive?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? I'll believe you once you get a pillow with my name embroidered on it.
I already have that. The Mike Lindell sent it to me. It's called Your Pillow.
It's not my pillow. It's your pillow. That's pretty good. And you just came up with that on the fly.
I just made it up.
God. See, I told you he was good. Terry, it really is so good having you back. Man, what's been going on since last week?
Well, I've fed my horses 7 times in the morning and 7 times in the evening.
Oh, gosh.
And other than that, I've been just doing all sorts of different work.
You guys have some horses?
I've got 5 horses.
Quarter horses?
Sorry?
Quarter horses?
They're quarter horses. 4 of them are. One is a mini horse, not a pony, but a miniature horse.
Okay.
He's a complete idiot. He's just into everything wrong he could possibly do. But we also have 3 goats and 1 donkey. The newest member is a donkey.
And those donkeys, they're pretty fierce.
You know, she's a puppy. She's new. I don't know what they call a new one.
Yeah.
But she's only 5 months old, so she's just learning. But she's already making herself felt. Yeah, she'll take things away from you quick if she wants them.
Yeah. Well, they'll keep the varmints away too.
Yep. So I hear.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's good having you back, Terry. You know, I was like, oh my God, this guy has done so much, and he's worked with so many people in the primarily in the music industry that, you know, I couldn't wait, you know, a month to have you back. I was like, okay, we just got to continue this. So I'm so glad we had the opportunity. I'm glad you survived another week of El Paso so you could come back on. What's happening in El Paso? You know, it's been so many years since I've been there.
Well, this week it was over 100 every single day.
Oh, was it?
And it is quite a lot for about 6 weeks in the summer. But, you know, it's moving. It's growing a lot. I've been back here only about 3.5 years, and I cannot believe how much it's growing. Somebody told me that an average of 800 people a day are leaving California for Texas, and almost 200 of those are stopping in El Paso and staying. So it's growing like crazy.
Wow. Well, you know, I love El Paso. I mean, everything from when every time I've been there, the climate, the Mexican food.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's just it's a cool place. And like we talked about,
it has a good rock history, as we talked about last time with Bobby Fuller, and there were some other really good local bands, and still are. So it has a bit of a rock and roll heritage, but mainly it's desert and mountains and heat in the summer, and in the winter, oh my gosh, the weather's so great. It's just fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Food is to die for.
A lot of cactus.
Yep.
It's a great place for a good movie, to film a good movie.
Yeah, maybe we'll make No Country for Old Men or whatever. We
should totally do that. We should totally do that. I want to kind of pick up where we left off last time, but I've got to go back and ask you the thing with Stevie Nicks that she stabbed you with a pencil. So did you ever get an opportunity later in life to work with her, to see her?
Well, yes, I did. But the funny thing about it all to me is for many, many years, I didn't know that was Stevie Nicks that sat in front of me and stabbed me with the pencil.
Really?
I knew her as Stephanie and barely remembered her last name and never put it together until years later. So I did work with her at a record plant in Los Angeles. Years later, we did a vocal overdub for another artist. And I had just found out, gosh, that girl back in junior high was her. But we didn't get a chance to talk about it or say hi or anything. She's such a professional. The schedule was so tight. It was literally in the room. Here's the mic, sing, here's your part. And then next. It's so, when you're in the studio, sometimes it's just go, go, go. So I've never sat down and relived those good old junior high school days
Wow.
at the Bassett Hounds, Bassett Junior High School, known as the Hounds.
Yeah. That would be so cool to sit down and have a conversation with her and say, hey, I'm wearing your lead. Hey.
Take it back.
That's right. I told Terry, I said, shoot, I'd tattoo right beside it and say, hey, Stevie Nicks did this. Seriously. I mean, she's big stuff. You know,
She's a tremendous artist, an ultimate professional. When we did work in the studio, I've worked with lots and lots of professional people, and I'm used to the professional ethic of do it right now, get it done, no mess up, that whole ethos. But she even surprised me a little. She really nailed it quick. Very, very good voice.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah. Yeah.
And distinctive.
And what?
Distinctive. There's no one else that sings quite like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's awesome. Let's if you don't mind.
I do mind.
For our audience, can you tell the audience what a music producer and a recording engineer actually do?
Yeah, they're really two separate jobs, although many people combine the two, as do I. But let's start with the producer. The producer, well, let's go all the way to do the hierarchy here. Let's say there's the record label, at least back when record labels signed artists, But let's say there's the record label. Then there would be a person who works for the record label as their employee, called the A&R person or A&R director. That person is the liaison between the artist, producer, the whole production side, and the business side, the record label. So once you get to through the A&R person, the next person sort of in charge of the product is the producer. I've always said it's a bit akin to a director of a movie. You're basically calling the shots. Usually I would do the budget, decide how much we were going to find out how much they gave us to spend, how we would allocate all those funds, who got paid what and how, and take as much of it as for myself as I could. And oh no, I'm just joking on that. But
yeah, right.
But usually I ended up cutting myself out of the most part of it, just to get a better sax overdub player or something like that. But the producer really could tell the artist what to do. In other words, you're not playing that bass guitar right. Let me show you what to do, or tell you what to do, or tell any musician or singer when they're doing it right, when they're doing it wrong, or in many cases, don't tell them anything because they're doing great. You need to know when to hold back. You don't impose your will just because you've been made this mini god. You need to do that only when it's necessary. So if you have a good group in there, a good artist, and they're doing fine, it's just as important a job to not speak to them and tell them things as it would be if they were doing it wrong, and you do try to correct them. So that's really what the producer does. Then the engineer could be, and often is, another person, a separate person, who would be either hired by the producer or by the group, or perhaps even be an employee of the studio in which they're recording. The engineer would be in charge of the technical aspect, getting the right sounds, putting the microphones in the proper places, choosing which microphones to use, getting the headphone mixes set properly so that everyone was happy, that sort of thing. Even though you're in charge of those, you're still under the producer. So if the producer didn't like a sound, he calls the shots, he or she calls the shots and says, hey, Mr. or Ms. Engineer, you didn't do that well enough for me, try something else. But in my case, as in many people, an engineer / producer could be one and the same person. Usually on a session, when I'm doing both, I would have an assistant engineer, someone who could run out from the control room to the studio and move a mic around, or add a new cable, or plug in some headphones or something like that, because it's hard to do 100% of everything without a little help. But hopefully that's a general guide of what the jobs are.
Very cool. Well, I know there's a lot of people that, well, actually, a lot of the singer-songwriters that in the area that watch this show, I'm sure that insight really would be beneficial to them. But I think the audience, they don't have a clue how, music gets from this point to this point, and who are the players, in between. There's a lot that goes on, and I know the recording engineer, that's all about creating, in that role.
Well, you should in your role as a recording engineer, you should know at least some, and preferably a lot, of the science of sound. You should know what kind of a sound wave an instrument would make.
Mm-hmm.
You should know what type of microphone best picks up that sound and where to put it to have it sound the best. So there's a lot to it. Some of that is a little disappearing today because so many people are their own engineer, their own producer. They might be recording at home or in their garage, or bought a little Pro Tools setup or something like that to start making their own recordings. And that's all great. But in one sense, some of the professional magic behind the scenes aspect is sort of filtering away and leaving the industry to some degree when people do that, if they're not trained well enough or know the science well enough to do it even better than they maybe are doing it.
Right. I was just going to tell you, Terry, I'm a pretty good microphone mover. And the next time you get Aerosmith in your studio and you need someone to come in and help you with those microphones, moving them around and such, just let me know. And
I pay well for that, and I'll definitely call you.
I'll come out and I'll move them damn microphones all day long. You don't even have to pay me. Just do it for the hell of it. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to talk about some of those A-list artists that we didn't touch on last week that you have actually worked with. And so I kind of want to play a little game. I want to throw out someone that I think that you've worked with on some level, and you tell me a personal, never heard story about them.
Okay.
Because I love exclusives on my show. So, not that no one else does either. But anyway, yeah. Tell me something that, you remember about that time.
Well, about which artist?
Well, I'm fixing to get to that. I'm fixing to start.
Okay,
I just don't.
Yep,
You're anxious.
Okay.
You're anxious.
I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go. Okay, here we go. Okay. First one is Ike and Tina Turner.
Ooh, wow. That's such a fun one. Ike and Tina, when I worked with them, it was on the studio version of Rollin' in the River. And I had met Ike before. He was around Memphis a lot. And at the time I was in Memphis, Tennessee. And Ike was an incredibly talented guy. He was a keyboard player, played piano well, played guitar brilliantly. He was an A&R guy in that he would go out and find acts and bring them into Sam Phillips or to Chess or to other of the labels of the day, R&B acts. He wrote songs, really good songs. He wasn't the world's greatest singer, maybe, and in that case, why not have a Tina Turner?
Of course.
So she and Ike were there for the overdubs we did on Rollin' on the River by them, the studio version. The live version's a little different, but very good. And I think we overdubbed horns on the live version as well. But Ike was in charge. He wasn't mean like you hear when I saw him. He was stern. He was in control. He wasn't going to take anything from anybody. He wanted it his way. I respect that. If you've got the talent and you want it your way, I'm there to help. That's great. I didn't see any of the bad things he supposedly did to Tina or whatever myself, so I can't really comment on that.
Right.
But that's what the movie's for, I guess.
Yeah.
What's love got to do with it? But she was an amazing singer, and oh my God, just a huge personality. and both of them were huge personalities. I could talk a long time about them, but that's sort of a general consensus, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, George Thorogood.
George Thorogood and the Destroyers started out as the Delaware Destroyers, then dropped Delaware from their name. I guess it sounded more international to just be the Destroyers. But I've worked many albums with them, starting I think in about '83. I don't remember how many albums we did, but it's 7 or 8 albums maybe together. George is a huge baseball fan. He's such a funny guy. He's such a character himself.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard him say, for instance, well, back when I was writing songs and had a lot, I couldn't get anybody to sign me. Now I'm signed. I'm on a label. And I can't write songs anymore. Just always making jokes about things. He's such a smart guy and so much fun to be around. One fun thing was after a show, which was in Memphis at the Mud Island Amphitheater, which is an outdoor arena on the Mississippi River. That there was a tour of George Thorogood and the Destroyers, and the other act was the Allman Brothers. So they would kind of fuss at each other about who was headlining. So George finally said, for this show, I tell you what, you guys headline, you follow me, and put on an incredible show. And really kind of pissed off the Allman Brothers. They had to follow this.
Wow.
He was saying, you're gonna follow that. He even said that, I think, on stage. So after the show, we go to a club, and they want to all hang out. And they said, let's make up. Let's stop all this fussing we've been doing. Let's jam. Well, George doesn't jam. He doesn't like spur of the moment jams. He likes to rehearse it, know everything he's going to do in advance, have all his moves, his licks, everything down together. So he didn't really want to jam, but they finally talked him into getting up there on stage. So he picks up a guitar and starts doing a country song, nothing like what he does at all, just wailing and yodeling this country song, which pissed them off so much that it turned into a fist fight with tables crashing everywhere.
Wow.
I remember Dickie Betts was leading some of the fighting, and I just ducked out the back door and went home. I've had enough.
Wow.
But I love the Destroyers. Everyone in the band, great guys. I've worked with them many, many times.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen their show, they always put on a great show.
Yeah. 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 I'm friends with Jim Suler.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Jim, he's a good Texas boy.
He is.
And good Dallas guy. Yeah, he's gosh, he's been with him, I don't know, over 15 years, I guess 16, 17 years now.
It's funny because he's the new guy, but he's been there longer than most bands have been together.
Isn't that crazy? Such a great guy too. But hey, when you're at the club, did you ever look over at George and go, hey, let's do it, 1 bourbon, 1 scotch, and 1 beer?
Actually drink it?
Yeah.
At all of his shows at the end, because he's known for the drinking songs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I Drink Alone.
Yeah.
1 bourbon, 1 scotch, all the things he does. So at the end of every show, he started adding in a don't drink and drive thing to the crowd on the way home. He started feeling a little, am I guilty for maybe? So he would make sure that they knew it was a showbiz thing and please don't drink and drive. And I really admired that. That was good.
It's funny how age kind of changes us, doesn't it?
You learn things, yes.
Yeah, you do. It's we learn a lot of lessons as we age. Okay, so what about one of my favorites, Joe Walsh?
Oh, Joe Walsh. I love him. He's such a talent. I did a full album with Joe, and we were 8 months.
Which one?
In the recording. We started going out to L.A. where he had his apartment and going through the songs and the demos and all that till we decided. Then we went back to Memphis to record it. But in those 8 months, I was with him almost around the clock. I mean, we were really together a lot. And at the time, Joe was, which he's not now, he's doing really well now, but at the time he was known to drink a little bit. And so I wanted to stay with him all the time and keep him focused and keep him. In those 8 months, I never saw him eat 1 bite of food, solid food. They would order pizzas, whatever. He wouldn't eat them. Uh, he kept drinking orange juice and saying, "No, I get all I need from this orange juice." So I don't know what was in the juice, but anyway, what a talent,
Wow.
man!
Oh,
He
isn't
can
he?
play the guitar. He's an amazing guitarist.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's such a good artist and singer, and has had his own solo career, and then of course the Eagles, being part of the Eagles,
Right.
huge, that people forget what an amazing,
Oh,
almost Jimmy Page level guitarist, Jeff
yeah.
Beck level he is.
Yeah. I love his early stuff.
And he's a great DJ. I don't know if you've ever heard.
No.
He does a lot of he'll guest on radio stations, get the Joe Walsh Hour, and he's amazing.
Wow.
He does a really good job as a DJ.
Shoot, I need to call him up.
Yeah, you got to have him on the show.
Barside, absolutely. What album did you guys do of his?
The album I did was called "Got Any Gum."
Okay.
That was, we went through the names. He was going through he loves funny titles.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one he had chosen was "I Opened the Door in Influenza."
Mm-hmm.
But he turned that one down and he went with "Got Any Gum?" ? Wasn't my favorite title ever, and it wasn't his biggest album, but it was. It did okay, and it was fun to work with a great artist like Joe.
It was him.
Yep, it was him. Everything's him.
Yeah. Guys, you are watching Barside Jive, and we are on the air with legendary music producer and recording engineer Terry Manning. All right, Terry, you ready for your next one?
Yep.
Isaac Hayes.
Isaac Hayes. I love these artists so much. Isaac was a tremendous intellect and such a powerful personality. He was really something. You knew you were in the room with somebody when he was there.
Mm-hmm.
What I recorded for him, I had recorded many things, overdubs and all sorts of things with the artists he was producing, Sam and Dave, various artists that he worked with. But when he became a solo artist and came in to do his first real studio album, which was called Hot Buttered Soul, he would come in the late afternoons, evenings, and we'd record on into the night. The group called the Barkays were his backing band at the time. And they were the session guys, the players. They had practiced, not the way you normally practice. He went to a couple of clubs, one called TJ's near Madison Avenue in Memphis, on Avalon, I think it was. And he and the Barkays would play these songs, and the women would come and watch Isaac and just melt and scream. He had that bald head and that deep, sexy voice, and just such a force on stage.
Yeah.
So he would watch all the women and figure out what was really getting them off, what they were responding to. So when he came in the studio, he said, "I am ready. I know what they want to hear."
Yeah.
So he went in, and for instance, those of you who don't know the Hot Buttered Soul album should really listen to it. It's a landmark soul music changing album. He did things like Bacharach songs, like By the Time I Get to Phoenix, but it would be 15 minutes long, and he would put a big long a speech, him just speaking low, "Hey baby, baba," all like he does for 5, 6, 7 minutes. So the band is just hitting this one chord, just dum, just everybody taking it easy,
just
wondering,
waiting.
when's he gonna start? When's he gonna start? And he's sitting at the organ. We had a Hammond A100, which is a B3 variant Hammond organ. He's sitting at the organ singing live, not overdubbing later, but singing it to the track, because speaking it, singing it, everything. And right when he was ready to come in, he would just look up at the band and roll his eyes and move his left hand a little bit while he's still holding the chord, and shake his head, and bam, they were in there on the downbeat.
Wow.
With the song coming out of the rap section. Just amazing. I relive those sessions in my mind a lot. He was something else.
Wow. How cool. All right. Let's move to another Texas great, Mr. Johnny Winter.
Johnny Winter, from Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got the call to do an album on Johnny by MCA Records, to which he was signed at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and by his manager, a guy named Teddy Slatus. And they said, this was after Eliminator album did so well for ZZ Top.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that had, like, I worked with Molly Hatchet, I worked with Johnny Winter, all these other groups that were known for sort of a blues bass to them, or a Southern bass, but all of a sudden they want to go with what you did to ZZ Top to make us big in hits like that. But it doesn't always work for every artist the same way.
Right.
So I was really stuck in the middle of MCA Records going, no, use drum machines. No, use whatever samples, do whatever. And Johnny Winter saying, no, man, I'm a blues player. I know Muddy Waters. I've worked with Howlin' Wolf. Come on, I don't want to change. So I was stuck right in the middle and had to try to please everybody. The album is called Winter of '88. I think it came out good. It did pretty well, but it's not his early blues style. It's a different thing that I was made to do to Johnny. But here's the story. Since he has passed away, I will tell this story. And it's in his biography that was written about him, a little bit of it. But Johnny was an odd kind of person in a way, in a good way. And he was living in his own world, his own psyche. He was really just immersed in what he, as artists should be, doing what they do in their own special cocoon. But sometimes it kind of took over a little. Like he would say in the middle of a song, stop playing, say, I'm hungry, I want to eat. So the first time that happened on this particular day, I said, okay, how about pizzas? I can call Domino's in less than 30 minutes. They'll have it here, or it's free. And he said, oh, okay. He didn't understand that was a little funny. Maybe it isn't. So I said, okay, just 1 minute. I called Domino's, ordered the pizzas. We started another take, and he stops about 3 minutes in and says, I am hungry. I said, well, yeah, I know you're hungry. You told me that 3 minutes ago. I ordered pizzas. Oh, okay. So about 4 minutes later in the next take, stop. I'm hungry. I said, I'm hungry. And I said, damn it. I told you I've ordered pizzas. I know you're hungry. It's almost here now.
Domino's is fast, but they're not that fast, Johnny.
They're not quite that fast. So he jumped up. He decided that I was being rude, I guess, and maybe my tone of voice was a little what I shouldn't have been. He jumps up, grabs a chair he was sitting in, throws it around the studio, picks up the microphone, a Neumann microphone, and throws it up against the wall. And I'm just going, oh, hold on, I can't have this. So I jump out into the studio, and I've never done this before and will never do it again. But he was literally breaking equipment up and things. And I grabbed him, and now Johnny is a small guy. I'm not big, but even to me, he was a small guy.
Yeah.
And he weighed about 95 or 100 pounds. He was an albino, legally blind. And I'm literally there picking him up by the collar of his shirt, and held him up against the wall. Damn it, I told you the food was ordered. You're not breaking my studio apart and smashing up $10,000 microphones and just, I mean, I've never done that before, but he was just shocked and went running out of the studio and ran back to his hotel, sat there for 3 days. And I just stayed in the studio. I came every day, and the band did too. And we just sat there, and finally at 5 o'clock, I'd say, okay, everybody home. He's not coming. Third day, he telephones me and can you come over to my hotel room? Can we talk it out? And I did. He apologized. I apologized. He said, I get cranky sometimes. I get a little crazy sometimes. And I said, well, I shouldn't have responded the way I did, of course. Very sorry for that. So we made up. We're friends and finished the album. But boy, what an episode.
Wow. Damn. Did you ask him to sign the broken microphone?
No, I didn't, darn it.
You should have.
No,
by the
I don't
way,
know.
Johnny.
A lot of your people may play guitar, I think, that are listening, but he was playing one of those laser guitars that has no headstock.
Oh, yeah,
Very
yeah.
small body, and it's like graphite or something.
Right, yeah.
Really small little funny thing.
Yeah.
Time, and it was strung with eights, which is very, very light gauge strings.
Yeah.
If you just blew near the guitar, it would bend a note. I couldn't believe, I've never seen anybody.
Wow.
But bending capability. Of course, what a player! What an amazing musician!
Oh yeah.
His note bending capability was far exceeded anything I've ever seen.
Yeah. Wow. Mm. Interesting story there, Terry. What about Jimi Hendrix?
Well, Jimi Hendrix, I did not work in the studio with Jimmy.
Right.
I photographed him
Right.
at a concert. I went backstage and met him. He was really, really nice guy. And this was before a show. Usually you don't approach an artist before a show because they need to get into their mindset. They don't want to be distracted. They know what they're going to be doing. But he came up and introduced himself and said, "Hi, yeah, I know who you are. Good to meet you." And this was right when he was really big, had broken huge. And he was very nice. And then I went and photographed him out front in the orchestra pit of the stage. And the fun thing to me, I'll send you this. Years later, somebody sent me a photograph of, or maybe it was even a short video of Jimi Hendrix at that concert. And I can see me photographing him in the video. I've got one shot where there's me with the camera and Jimi Hendrix. It's really kind of amazing to me to see that years later, you know.
Wow, that would be cool. Yeah.
Nice guy though, very nice guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he was pretty laid back, wasn't he?
He was very calm and easygoing. He was very confident, very confident guy.
Yeah. Well, I know you worked with the fabulous Thunderbirds. I guess that would be Jimmy Vaughn, right?
Yes, Jimmy's one of my favorite people ever.
Yeah.
The whole Thunderbirds are such a great band. I had liked and admired them for years. And then I got a call from Disney. My manager at the time got a phone call from Disney Studios saying, "We're doing a movie. It's called Cocktail. Tom Cruise is the big star. And we want to do this song called Powerful Stuff in the movie. And we want me to produce the song on the Thunderbirds." So that's how we started out, is recording the song Powerful Stuff, which became quite a big hit. It was the first single from that soundtrack album.
Right.
Did really well. And we got along so well doing that they said, "Well, why don't we just continue and do a whole album?" So we did. And I just loved that Jimmy is one of my top 3 favorite guitar players of history. I love him.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful human being. I call him the Gary Cooper of guitar, because he plays only what he thinks is really needed. Nothing, he's not going to get fancy, even though he can play like Stevie Ray, his brother. He can play all that too. He can play anything, but he chooses to play the simple Albert King type important notes, the ones he really likes. So that's what I loved about Jimmy. I remember I got him he liked his Fender guitar into a Fender amp. And that's it. Nothing else. Because I make the sounds. Thank you. So on one song, I said, "Well, let's use this little fuzz tone thing. It'll make it." I don't like those things. But he finally did it and liked it. So I got him to use a pedal or two. He begrudgingly did it, but it worked well.
Yeah.
Listen to that solo on Powerful Stuff, though. He's just amazing.
Okay. That's cool. See, that's so cool now to know that, you know, I listened to some of this material and I know that you engineered it. It's going to be really cool. I'm going to listen to it completely differently than I have in the past. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I got to interview Jimmy. He rode in on his bus from, I guess, down in Austin one weekend and did a show here in Dallas. And I got to interview him before the show. It was about a 45-minute interview. And so anyway, we had a great time. He told me some cool stories, and I was really, really pleased to get it. So, yeah, cool guy. I agree.
He is.
Yeah.
And his brother, one of the sad things of my whole life or career or whatever you want to call it, after doing that Thunderbirds album, he told Stevie, "Oh, you got to meet this guy." I mean, I really enjoyed working with him. So, and I had met Stevie once, but I went on out to a couple of the shows, started hanging out with Stevie, go to restaurants, talking through things. So I was set to do his next album. Now, the first thing that happened, they did an album called Brothers, the two of them together. I was going to produce that, but something came up with ZZ Top, and as you know, I've worked with them for 18 years.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. That were exact same time. So Nile Rodgers took over and did the Brothers album, and I got to do whatever you'd say, the ZZ Top album that was at that same time. But I was going to do the next Stevie solo album, the Stevie Ray next album, and we had some songs demoed and everything ready when the helicopter crashed and he died.
Oh, wow.
That was just so I missed two chances of working with Stevie. I did work with him in the studio. We recorded a Pepsi commercial, Pepsi for Texas commercial. Went down to Austin, just outside of Austin. Actually, no, we did that in Dallas. We did it at a studio in Dallas called Goodnight Dallas. Did Stevie Ray and his whole band Pepsi commercial.
Wow. How cool is that? Now, you mentioned ZZ Top. Are they doing anything? Are you working on any new projects with them? Is there anything in the future?
You know, it's hard to say. We've talked about it briefly a time or two it's been 20 plus years since we worked together.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about, we should someday, but somehow we've just never hooked up and done it. I hope we do. That would be great. Billy, as I've said before, is one of my all-time favorite people and so much fun to work with. And we do work well together. So maybe, yeah.
Now, did you work with him on his latest solo stuff?
No, I didn't I haven't worked with Billy in the studio since the ZZ, although he came in one time and we did one song together, which no one's ever heard. I will put it out in some fashion someday. It's him singing lead, playing lead guitar, and me and him and another guy wrote the song. So we'll see.
Shoot, that sounds like exclusive for Barside Jive right there.
I'd love to. Right now, I've sat on it for a few years, but
okay.
You'll be the first I'll let know.
All right. You're awesome. Well, thank you for that. All right. So what about Molly Hatchet?
Wow, another Southern group. I went down to Orlando, which is where they're from, and recorded Molly Hatchet. And again, the record label was saying, please take them out of what they've been in and put them in what you did with ZZ Top for Eliminator, which was more produced, had harmony vocals instead of just the lead singer vocals, had some synthesizers instead of just the normal piano or electric piano, organ, keyboard type things. So, and I guess they thought it was going modern or something. So they wanted me to do that. But I got along well with them. It was the album that Danny Joe came back as the lead singer, Danny Joe Brown.
Right.
He had been gone for a bit. He came back as the quintessential lead singer for Molly Hatchet. It was pretty much the original group at that time. I think it's the last time the original group recorded together. And we got great radio play. We had so pretty good records on it. I still get royalty checks, so it must have done all right. They were just fun to work with. It was hot as blazes in Florida that summer, though. Jeez, hot and humid.
Yeah.
Fun guys, though.
What about Otis Redding?
Ooh, that's the saddest studio day of my life. Involves Otis Redding.
Really?
Yes, I had been around him some in the studio. Had done a little work here and there as just in a minor engineering capacity. But when they had just done the Monterey Pop Festival, which you can see the movie on PBS, it's playing recently, Shake, the film of him at Monterey Pop, amazing. Came back and were recording some things and had recorded sitting on the dock of the bay. And it was tracked, but not finished. So needed horns overdubbed. It needed the whistle fixed slightly at the end, a couple of things done, and it needed mixing and mastering. So he went off to do this show with the Bar-Kays as his backing band, and everybody else was just hanging out waiting for him to come back. Well, he never came back. The plane crashed. He died.
Gosh.
All the Bar-Kays died except two, one of which was Ben Cauley on the airplane, who somehow got a hold of something and didn't drown in the lake the plane went into, and the other, James Alexander, the bass player, who had taken a commercial flight. So we had instructions from Atlantic Records into Stax, get that single mixed. We need it now.
Yeah.
And this is the end of the year. You usually don't finish and release a song, write it in December at Christmas, because Christmas takes over everything. So Steve Cropper brought over the master tape, and we spent a day overdubbing the Memphis horns, playing the horn parts. Steve, no one else has ever known this. In fact, Steve didn't even remember it till I mentioned it to him recently. He fixed one or two of the whistle parts at the. He fixed a couple of those places at the end. It's mostly Otis, but it is a little bit of Steve in there too. And we mixed it and mastered it. But that day in the studio, everybody was in tears because Otis was another one of those bigger than life personality people. He was so full of life when he was full of life, so fun and happy and effusive, and just a sweetheart of a human being that you just loved him. You couldn't help but love him. Yeah. And he was dead, gone. He was the biggest artist on the Stax label that I worked for. Everybody was in tears, crying. We had lost Steve. He was Steve Cropper's best friend. Steve and Otis wrote Dock of the Bay together. They were the songwriters. Steve was the producer.
Gotcha.
So he's in there working on this song that his best friend just died, and we're hearing his voice over and over. And it was just horrible. That whole day, I just remember it as like there was a fog in the studio, like you couldn't see or hear right, and everything was weird, just terrible. But of course it came out, and it's an iconic song, one of the big hit singles of history, I guess. I do have one photograph I took that day of Steve sitting at the console listening to the playback with his head in his hands. It's just so sad to me. But anyway, Otis, what an artist.
Yeah,
gone way too soon.
Oh, way too soon. Guys, you are watching Barside Jive, and we are on the air with legendary music producer and recording engineer Terry Manning. Well, Terry, talk about Steppenwolf.
Now, again, Steppenwolf I didn't work with in the studio.
Right.
I photographed them. This was in Miami at the Miami Pop Festival in, dare I say it, December of 1968. Seems like yesterday, but it's not.
No.
And John Kay, the singer, stunned the crowd. Now, remember, this is the 60s. It is the summer of love, or whatever you could call it. People are learning how to smoke dope and take other drugs and do all this stuff, and thought that's what you had to do when you went to a pop festival.
Right.
So the crowd is out there, and you could smell the grass in the air.
Yeah.
The show that they played was at Gulfstream Racetrack, and their stage was right on the track, so where the people would sit in the stands to watch the horses race or watching the bands. So their stands are full. They can't wait to hear Steppenwolf. They've just had Born to Be Wild and Magic Carpet Ride. Oh, wow, this is Steppenwolf we're going to see. And out on the stage, they say, ladies and gentlemen, up next, Steppenwolf. They're all out there getting high. And out on the stage walks a Florida State Patrolman with the helmet, the full patrol gear, gun at his side, everything. Just walks out on stage and looks out at the crowd, and he's just staring at them. And everyone in the crowd is melting. They're quickly putting things out and hiding stuff. They're going that. And all of a sudden, the trooper takes off his helmet. Long hair flows down. He said, "It's me, Steppenwolf." And the band starts playing, and he starts singing. It was really a great theatrical move he made. He scared the crap out of those people.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Shoot. I reached out to him for an interview, and but his handlers say he's retired and not going to do any more of those.
Oh, that's a shame. He was what happened to the band? They were so good.
Oh man.
Their music, those hits were incredible.
Oh God. Yeah.
Can't get much more iconic than their two biggest ones. So I don't understand why they didn't go on.
I know. I mean, even some of those like "Hey Lottie Mama," I love that. I mean, there were the Pusher. I mean, there were so many they did. Such iconic songs. But I know they were still playing, I think, up to a year or 2 or 3 ago, I guess. And then, but anyway, recently I was told he's retired. So, but I think it's only him and John Kay and is it Nick St. Nicholas?
That sounds right.
I think they're the only 2 that are still alive.
Wow.
And I think the
Why
rest.
do people have to get old? And why do
Dude,
they
I
have to
don't
die?
know. Dude,
There's
I
some
don't know.
people that shouldn't happen to.
Dude, one of these days, just think about this. One of these days, people are going to be watching this going, dude, I wish that DC, and I wish those guys were still alive.
But we
No,
are. We're
they
here.
probably won't either.
No,
They may
won't.
say, Terry, we wish Terry Manning was still alive. That DC guy, he can go. he ain't no good. Okay, let's talk about something more important, like Lenny Kravitz.
Ooh, one of my best friends. I love Lenny. His mother, of course, I'm sure some people know this and some may not. His mother was Roxy Roker, who was the black lady that was married to the white guy who lived upstairs above the Jeffersons on the Jeffersons TV show. So Lenny grew up although he was in New York a lot with his dad, he was in Hollywood a lot with his mom as well and grew up on set. So he was kind of a showbiz kid.
Right.
And he always was going to be be a star, really. He was destined
Sure.
to be a star.
Yeah.
So I first encountered Lenny when I was running Compass Point Studios. He came in to record his album known as Circus. And I worked a little bit with him on that, not intricately. But here's the story, and this works well for our story time here. One night, I had just finished mixing an entire George Thorogood album. I had worked and worked day after day, week after week, getting this album finished, getting it done. Lenny was in the other studio recording. I had 2 studios. So he was with somebody else working in the other studio. But Lenny had come down with his dog, and he loved this dog, and he had his whole band and all these people there, and his girlfriend at the time was Vanessa Paradis, who was later married to Johnny Depp. But they were hanging out in this really nice house on West Bay Street, and I had told Lenny, please be careful. You've got this dog. Please watch him. I mean, this traffic is terrible on that road. Well, sure enough, the dog got out, ran into the road, was hit by a taxi and killed.
Oh.
So Lenny was devastated. He loved this dog. So I get a phone call at midnight, just as I'm putting this album to bed. I am exhausted. And hi, this is Lenny. I've got to come in the studio and work right now. My dog has died. I'm going, oh my God, what? And everybody's in tears. I mean, just howling and wailing in the background. And his mother had flown in because of this. It was just a terrible scene. But he said, I've got a song I wrote for my dog, and I've got to record it. So I said, okay, come on over. So I took the George Thorogood tapes off, got a new roll of tape. I mean, and we started about 1 a.m. and went all the way through almost noon the next day and recorded a song on Lenny. We got a loop. First time he had ever used a loop, a drum loop, because he just wanted to get the song down. So we used a drum loop that we got from Bjork, who was working in one of my other studios at the time. Her producer, Nellie Hooper, gave us a drum loop. We put it down. I got out some keyboards and did stuff Lenny never did. He didn't work with electronic things, with synthesizers or drum loops or anything like that. Put together this song called Where Are You Now? We didn't release it on Lenny, but we took his vocal off, used the track on the girl singer Brandy, and it's on the Batman 3 soundtrack by Brandy. But Lenny loved that experience so much, and seeing things done in a way he hadn't worked before necessarily, all of it. So he said, would you do my next album? And he came in and we did the album, which came to be known as 5, his biggest selling album except for the greatest hits. And it had Fly Away on it, his biggest single, and just great. But we hung out together so many times. It's like we're cousins almost. We're really, really close friends.
Yeah, that's awesome. Gosh. What about Joe
Oh,
Cocker?
his daughter Zoe, his
Who?
daughter Zoe actually lived in my house. She's now a well-known actress. Zoe
Really?
Kravitz. Yeah, she lived. She was about
In El
8.
Paso, Texas?
No. This was in the Bahamas.
No, I'm just kidding.
This was in Nassau, Bahamas. She lived in my house, and her and my son Lucas were best friends. They shared a Jack and Jill. They had the bathroom that they shared, Jack and Jill bedrooms separate, and they were close friends for over
Wow.
6 months. She lived in my house, went to school, rode the school bus with my son to school and everything, and now she's a famous star.
Wow. And lived in your house.
Yeah, it was fun.
Wow. Is that your wife in the room?
She is back there. Yes, Janet.
Does she want to get on camera and say hello?
You want to come? She doesn't. No.
I've been gardening.
The wives, well, they don't like that. They're like, no, I'm good.
Makeup on.
What'd she say?
He says, I've been gardening, not without my makeup on.
Oh, yeah. They always say that. Shoot, if they had makeup on, they still wouldn't want to do it.
Women, what are you going to do with them?
I know. You can't live with them. You
and
can't
it's
live
illegal
without them.
to shoot 'em.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what they say? Happy wife, happy life.
It works.
And there's
too.
no truer statement than that right
Nope.
there.
No.
I'm going to tell you, a foot rub a day, you'll live long. She gets a foot rub a day and you're golden, man.
Oh, good, good to go.
You'll live long. Hey, what about Joe Cocker?
Wow, another great artist. I've been so lucky. Joe came. He's passed away too now, so maybe I can tell this story. Oh, I could go a long time on Joe.
Yeah.
He had been a big star, as we know.
Yeah.
Had so many big things in the 60s, the British invasion time, really had done well. Then he had dipped down a little bit, especially in the US. And to be honest, Joe had a bit of a drinking problem. As you know, you're on stage. I'm not putting people down when I say that, because it's easy to do when you're touring, you're on stage, everybody's making demands on you.
Yeah.
Your life is not your own. It's easy to slip into things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. So I don't mean that to denigrate anybody, but Joe had a bit of a drinking problem and had become known in the industry as somewhat untouchable. Don't work with Joe, you'll have problems. So I get a call from the head of A&R at Capitol Records, and he says, I would like for you to do a Joe Cocker, some songs on a Joe Cocker album. And I said, well, I've heard some things. He said, no, I promise you, I'll try to make this short. He says, no, I promise you, Joe is doing great. He's cleaned up. He's exercising every day. He's got a girlfriend who's really taken care of him, and it's going to be good. I promise you. He's singing better than ever. So I go out, fly out to LA. I go out to meet Joe Cocker. Go in there. Well, we didn't know this, but the girlfriend had gone on vacation to Mexico for a week.
Oh, no.
So we go out to Joe's house, and at the time he was living in Jane Fonda's ranch in Santa Barbara, in a separate house that she was letting Joe live in. Joe and the girlfriend. The girlfriend was a close friend of Jane Fonda's. So we go out to Jane Fonda's ranch in Santa Barbara, go in, and I'm talking to the A&R guy, and I are talking to his girl, the girlfriend who had just gotten back after a week. She just drove up as we got there. Oh, hi, I'm home. Okay. Joe's upstairs asleep. So the girlfriend, A&R guy, and me are sitting and talking in this big, beautiful room, Western style, with a gigantic ceiling that has balconies all the way around, staircases on two sides, and balconies all the way around for the second floor. And we're down on the lower floor. And we're talking, and the girlfriend's saying, oh, yeah, he's exercising. He's doing great. I promise you, this is going to be good. All of a sudden, this Joe appears on the balcony looking down, and I thought at first it was a wild bear. He's going, doing the whole, and he's screaming, who's down there with my girlfriend? What's going on? He had been drinking because he missed his girlfriend, fallen off the wagon.
For a week.
Oh my God. He came roaring down the stairs. We had to tackle him. I mean, I'm going, what is going on? Finally, they kind of sobered him up. We went to an Indian restaurant that he was his favorite, and he hadn't sobered up enough, and he created quite a scene in the restaurant.
Oh.
Oh, but I ended up, the guy convinced me he's going to be okay, I promise. So we ended up going in the studio, and Joe was great, singing great. He was definitely clean and sober and ready to go.
Wow.
And we're sitting there, and I turn on the microphone, had the band in the studio. I'd rehearsed them for several days. Joe walks in. Hey, man, how's it going? Here we go. He walks in the vocal booth, and I hit record, and out comes, we're doing a song called, I can't remember. I'll think of the song, but it was one of the pretty well-known ones that was on that album. But out comes his voice, and I'm just enthralled. Oh, there's Joe Cocker's voice. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And it's going great. About halfway through the tape, somebody comes rushing in the room. Stop tape. I've got an emergency call for Joe Cocker. And I said, we are recording here. What do you mean a phone call for Joe? His mother's just died. He comes out of the vocal booth, here's what's happened. He rushes to the airport, leaves for a week or it was a long weekend is what it was. That was a Thursday night. So we missed Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He gets back late Monday night. And because he had done the estate stuff, had a funeral, crying because his beloved mother had just died and everything, he had lost his voice. He had laryngitis.
Oh.
So we couldn't overdub his vocals for about 6 months. But it worked well. In the end, it was a great.
You finally got it done.
A close friend. He came over to my house and had dinner one night, and we took Indian takeaway. This was in London. I was living in London, and we had recorded at Abbey Road. And he came in, and we had ordered takeaway from his favorite restaurant. Ended up they had food poisoning that night, and we all got sick.
Oh.
So there you go. You can't win.
No. Oh man, that's horrible. You know, I'm gonna ask you one more, real quick. James Taylor.
James Taylor. I had recorded an artist named Tony Joe White, who had Polk Salad Annie. A lot of people may remember, a big hit. And I did one of his later albums produced by none other than Peter Asher. Peter was the Peter of Peter and Gordon from the British invasion years,
right.
Famous star, but he had become the ultimate producer. He produced James Taylor. He produced Linda Ronstadt, a lot of the great things with the great session guys out of Los Angeles. So he came into Memphis, Peter did, to do Tony Joe White, which we did. It worked well. He went away. A couple of, maybe a month later, I get a phone call at home from Peter. Said, hey, I'm doing a new James Taylor album. Would really like to come to Memphis and record the Memphis horns on it that like we just did on Tony Joe. Can you do that? So I said, sure. When do you want to do it? I got a date. I called up Wayne Jackson, the main guy in the Memphis horns, because he did all the booking. Told him, hey, we're doing James Taylor. Now at this time, James is the #1 artist in the country. He's huge. And of course, he's still huge, but he was really, really huge then, as well as being tall. But anyway, I told Wayne and Andrew, the Memphis Horn session guys, we're doing James Taylor, and it's going to be this date. Okay, yeah, we'll be there. So sure enough, they show up. Everything's going well. And as Wayne's walking in the studio with his horn, in the case, he says, now, who's this guy who you said we're recording? Huh? I said, James Taylor's. Oh, okay. Didn't ring a bell with him. So they go out in the studio. They're working. James is the loveliest guy. I'll send you a picture, if I didn't, of me and James and Peter working together. But James is a sweetheart of a guy, just quiet and gentlemanly and lovely and super talented. So he's sitting in the control room, and he says, they're out doing the horn parts. Now, the Memphis horns do their own parts. They don't do it from charts. It's all what we call head charts, head sessions. They make it up as they go along. They'll hear part of the song. Somebody will think of a lick. They'll refine it a little. They'll do that lick. Then they'll listen to the rest of the song, find another lick. Then they'll start putting it around. So they're they're doing that. They're arranging the horn parts. Well, James had a horn part in his head he had been hearing. So he walks out into the studio, and he's a big, tall, imposing guy. And he says, guys, excuse me. They didn't know he was the artist. They didn't know he was the #1 artist in the country. They didn't know anything. They're the Memphis Horns. They care about what they do. He said, I've got a horn part. Wayne looks up and said, well, son, I've got an idea. We haven't eaten yet. Here's $10. Can you go across and get us some hamburgers? To get him out of the studio. And James, the sweetheart of a guy he is, said, oh, okay, what do you want? Okay, this cheeseburger. Yeah, okay. So he walks across the street to a place called the Sweden Cream, which was one of those little Dairy Queen kind of places. And I've got a picture I took of James Taylor standing there at the Sweden Cream ordering their hamburgers. Someday I'll release that.
Yeah.
And he came back and fed them. And then later they made him go get wine. And he went and got wine.
Wow. It's amazing.
But
Wow.
it all turned out great. That was the album that had You've Got a Friend on it. So as you know, it did quite well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Well, Terry, I would ask you about Led Zeppelin again. There's just not enough time.
I'm here whatever, long as you want to go or whatever.
Oh, man. Okay, one more quick Led Zeppelin story.
All right. Oh, you're not, no question. I'm just making it up.
Yeah, yeah. No, tell me a true one.
Oh, no. I like to lie. No, I'm sorry. I don't. That's up to the artists. They do that.
Yeah, exactly.
They make up crazy
stuff.
stuff.
Called lyrics.
But yeah. Oh, well.
My Led Zeppelin 3 album. I want to ship it to you and see if you'll sign it for me, and then I'll send a box. You can send it back.
I will. If you mail it to me, I promise I'll keep it.
Dude, it's not special. It's just Led Zeppelin 3. I bet you got a million of them.
We'll do that.
In fact, I'll trade you mine for the one you've got framed on your wall.
Oh, Well, let's see. When we were recording, we were doing the mixing on things like "Since I've Been Loving You" and "Friends," all the great songs on that album, and "Immigrant Song." And I would just watch Jimmy, and he was such a dancer. He was Jimmy shimmy around, and he loving his music. He was so in charge, so into it. He was the producer, the main guy. It's his band. And I remember when we went, and if I didn't say this before, maybe I did, but when we took it to master, I remember walking down the hall to the bathroom and hearing it. When you hear music in the studio from the speakers, it's one thing.
Uh-huh.
But if you walk out in the hall from the control room or walk down somewhere away and you hear it coming from afar, you hear it very differently.
Yeah.
So I remember walking out of the toilet and hearing "Since I've Been Loving You" coming blasting down the hall, and I'm thinking, damn, we did something. That's really good. That's going to be up there. And I listened today. Somebody I sent you a link to it. BBC Two did an interview with Jimmy about Led Zeppelin 3, the 50th anniversary.
Yes.
And the interviewer, a DJ there, Johnny Walker, asked him, said, one of your engineers, Terry Manning, said that the solo in "Since I've Been Loving You" is the greatest rock solo of all time. What do you think? And Jimmy he wouldn't dare admit it was the greatest, but I think it is. That is an incredible solo, and that is the first take off the cuff.
Wow, really?
He did that in Island Records, Island Studio, Basing Street in London, and he didn't have an amp there. His stuff wasn't there, so he looked, and in the hallway was the equipment from a group that had recorded previously, and he just pulled in at somebody else's amp, plugged his guitar in it, and the settings that were there, he used it, and they hit roll tape, and he just played that one solo.
Wow.
And he tried a second. When he told me he tried a second one, tried to beat it, I said, nah, let's just go with that. First take. It's incredible.
Wow.
It's like 5 solos in one.
Yeah. Wow. Terry, thank you so much for doing this again.
My pleasure. Always enjoy it.
Dude, it was awesome. We've learned so much. We've all just been sitting here shaking our heads and getting into every word because it's just been an awesome time to hear about all these legends. And of course, you're a legend yourself, and we appreciate you taking the time. We appreciate your lovely wife taking the time to help produce this show.
She did. She helped set up stuff, and she's now gone out to feed the donkeys, so she's not here.
Those animals got to get fed, don't they, Brad?
They love their hay. Oh.
Yeah, I know they do. Well, Terry, once again, thank you so much. I'll be in touch, but thank you so much for your time tonight. And, man, is there anything we can ever do for you, like move those mics, you just give us a call.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, DC, and thanks, Jay, and everybody else on the staff there.
Thanks, Terry. We appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Good night. Guys, that was Terry Manning, legendary music producer, recording engineer, songwriter, musician, photographer, you name it, he does it, even flies planes. Remember that all of my content is on YouTube. Just search for Barside Jive Live. This is the point during the show where we play our disclaimer. We're not going to play it. We ain't got it. Thanks to Jay and Jimmy, our production team, for all the hard work they do behind the scenes to make this show possible, even if it is 30 minutes late. Guys, we are out of here. Thanks again for hanging out with us this evening. We hope that you got home safely from your drive home. We do appreciate your support of what we're doing here and hope that you'll share us with your friends, your family, your followers. Right, guys?
Yeah. Did you bring a chair?
I did bring a chair.
Oh, okay, cool. I brought
Party
a chair.
in the parking lot.
In the parking lot.
Party in the
Beth,
parking lot.
do you have a chair?
You have a chair?
A chair?
A chair?
I do not.
You don't have a portable chair?
I have a speaker.
Yeah, speaker. She's got a guitar. She's
Sit
got
on the ground.
play out in the parking lot.
I ain't giving up my chair.
No,
I don't care how nice she is.
What about Jay whenever he's got
Thanks,
a chair?
y'all.
Poor
a
Jay.
warm welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, you're welcome.
You are
I'll
welcome.
stand. I'll stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back if Bree, who knows how long Bree's going to be gone, but she's
will she be here next week?
Extended vacation. No.
Well, then Beth can fit in.
She won't be here next week. Yeah, we'll have to. I've got several lined up, so we'll have to see what I can fix. But yeah, I can arrange it.
It's your show.
I'm good at it.
Who makes the cut?
I'm good at it. I do. I make the calls.
Yeah.
So
it might be you and might be Beth and someone else sitting over here.
if we have more time, we get you to play, but we don't have any more time.
That's okay.
We're out. Next time.
Next time.
Next time, we'll let you play. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay, say bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay. Until next time, guys, be kind to one another, keep it real, and keep on rocking. See you next Monday, 4:30,
Four-ish
p.m. till
Yeah.
6-ish p.m.
Yeah.
Right here.
It's always fun, though.
Yeah, always fun. Barside Jive.